Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Daily Video Devo. Renee here. I'm going to start a little mini-series of Devos today that I call Parables from a Redwood Forest. I love to go on hikes here in Henry Cowell State Park. It is a beautiful grove of giant ancient redwoods. Some of these redwoods are more than 2,000 years old, and so many of these groves were cut down during the logging years, primarily in the 1800s, the early 1900s. And people tried literally for decades to preserve this forest because it was so gorgeous. And finally, in the 1930s, some land was set aside as a county park. And then in 1954, 90-year-old Sam Cowell, who was the last of the Cowell dynasty, agreed to set aside some further land, combining it with the county park, and it became a state park, Henry Cowell State Park. So beautiful things like this, my point is, they are not preserved accidentally. They have to be loved. They have to be nurtured. We need to take efforts to preserve beautiful things, or they can be destroyed. They can fall into ruin. And the same thing is true with our relationships, with our marriages, and my primary point of application today is with our church. The church is such a beautiful thing. Jesus Christ started it. And local churches can be such a beautiful expression of Christ's love. But we can't take them for granted. They won't be preserved accidentally. We have to focus on preserving and nurturing and protecting beautiful things like a healthy church. You know, in Ephesians, there's a few verses about this. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3, it says, "Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace." There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called. And all through the rest of Ephesians chapter 4, Paul talks about how to make every effort to preserve the beauty and the unity of the local church. He says, give each other the benefit of the doubt, show compassion, forgive each other. As we are grateful for what God has given us at Twin Lakes Church, let's also make every effort to preserve the beauty of this thing. All right? That's important. You know, later in the next chapter in Ephesians chapter 5, Paul is talking about marriage, and he says to husbands, "Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." And it's got great application for marriage, but I was thinking it also has great application for how we treat the church. Christ loved the church. These days it's so popular to criticize the church, and certainly through the ages the Christian church has done many things worth criticizing. But do you love the church? Do you love what's beautiful about her? Well, then let's make every effort to preserve that beauty for future generations, just as the beauty of this forest is preserved for future generations as well. Think about that. God bless you. You're going to have a great day.